This is Johnny with TigerBomb MMA, and today I'm going to go over UFC Kansas City Machado versus Prates, giving my thoughts, predictions on the entire 14-bout card. This is a card I will be attending, so it should be a ton of fun. I actually like some of these fights, even though not the biggest names, and there's one guy on this card that I don't particularly like, nor do I like his fighting style. I actually think it's going to be contender for fight of the night. So I'm going to give you my quick thoughts on this. I got to get my ass out of here. There's a hailstorm happening, and I'm going to Vegas tomorrow. So I'm going to break these down real quick. I'm going to give you my very, very quick thoughts on UFC 314. That card, I broke even. I was kind of dicking around with some parlays that ended up, dying. And then everything that I ended up taking was like a prop, and it just was the wrong prop every fucking time, but ended up breaking even on that card. My parlay with Yair and Lopez did not pan out. Overall, no money lost, just pride was hurt. But the main event, Volk looked good enough to still compete and win, and Lopez just did not seem to know how to pull the trigger. I think had he been way more aggressive and just not given a fuck, he would have had way more success. I honest to God, after that performance, not to say that Lopez is not a high caliber fighter. I think he is. I just think that he kind of fell right back into that whole Lobo gym type of bullshit where they're good, but when it comes to the big moments, they just can't pull the trigger. So it is what it is. I'm going to get right into this card, though, with the first fight of the night. We've got Chelsea Chandler versus Jocelyn Edwards. The odds have it in favor of Edwards minus 205. Comeback on Chandler is plus 165. So God knows if either of these women are going to make weight. Okay, they both have missed weight at bantamweight. Chandler, let me just be real brief with her. Chandler is a girl I don't mind putting some money on as a dog, but at 135 or 138 or 131 or 141 and a half, I don't know what she's going to weigh in as, but she's bad. She does not have the adequate skill set to beat anybody who knows how to fight. Jocelyn Edwards knows how to fight. She's got good striking, good volume, also a problem in the scale. Her jiu-jitsu is getting better. Her everything is getting better. She's the stronger of the two. I think she's going to look the stronger of the two. She's training. I mean, she's looking in really good shape. So I'm hoping that she makes weight. Chelsea at 145, I'm down to bet that girl. But at 135, the girl's still jiggling. I'm not complaining. But dear God, the way she fights is just not an optimal way for the UFC. She tries to maraud her opponents and try to take them down, but she's just unfortunately not strong enough at this weight class. Jocelyn is going to be stronger. She's going to be better. I foresee either Jocelyn finishing her or this leading to a decision. And on top of that, the last time Jocelyn Edwards fought in Kansas City was against everyone's favorite at that time, which was the wolf bitch, as I call her, Lucy Pudilova. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, she got robbed. I'm like, it is what it is. All I know is that the Kansas City judges love Jocelyn Edwards. I don't think she loses this fight. Give me Jocelyn by a decision. Chandler, it's just not in the cards for her. At this point, she's 34 years old. It ain't going to work out. Next bout, we've got Timmy Cuamba, Timmy Twilight versus Roberto Romero, El Chavo Negro. What are the odds on this one? I've been dying for these odds, and I have not been able to see them because I was so intrigued based off of the fight. The fight's an intriguing one. Minus 135, according to fight odds on Bet Online. Plus 100 for Timmy Cuamba. I fucking dislike Timmy Cuamba. I dislike his fighting style. He could be a nice guy, right? But he's been bullying one of the guys on my Discord, and I don't appreciate that. That is messed up. He apparently used to swirly him back in med school, and instead of him becoming a doctor, he's just a lowly little nurse, and it sucks. It breaks my heart that Timmy the Bully Cuamba is just a bad dude. But his fighting style is very pretty. It's entertaining in the aspect of if you're a homosexual. The guy backpedals a lot. He's very slick, all right? Enough of the jokes, but this guy's slick. He's a good wrestler, but there's something about this guy that screams not UFC caliber. And I think in this point, it really does come down to Roberto Romero and how well he is going to fight. Trains out of Team Oyama. The guy is aggressive, and I think that he is getting a little overblown based off of him dropping David Onama. And the thing about David Onama is that was at lightweight. This is actually at featherweight. Romero at featherweight is an anomaly to me because he has great fights, and I think this could be fight of the night based off of these two dudes want to out Mexican each other. It's going to be awesome, right? It's a really intriguing fight. Romero is a marauder. He throws technique out the window. He just goes. He will push you against the cage, try to take you down. He's not the best grappler, but he will do what he needs to do, opposed to Timmy, who wants to make it a pretty fight and throw beautiful combinations. This is the easiest fight for Timmy. So to me, it's a bit of a dogger pass where I think Romero could win the first round based off of aggression, but I've seen this guy slow down, not only in the UFC, but outside the UFC. I've seen dudes that have just outdogged him. And despite the fact that me thinking he has good cardio, I think the technique quite isn't there. I mean, he's got good hands. Both of these dudes have good hands, but when it comes down to just a boxing matchup, I think Timmy might be a little bit cleaner, but that doesn't matter in this fight because, again, he's got a bit of the pussyitis, I would say. Like, he could try to make this pretty and he could win off of that if it's a slow pace, but if it's a consistent fast pace, either Romero's tired or not, which he will continue to push that pace. If it's an ugly fight, Romero's going to win, so this is a complete toss-up. So I think it is maybe a dog or pass, but it's like, do you really want to risk it on a guy like Timmy Cuamba? I think that if he makes it his fight, he grapples, he wins this one in a very boring fashion. But if Roberto makes this a dog fight, like I am hoping he will, it is still very 50-50. I think Romero should not be the favorite. I think Timmy, who was a big favorite over an established guy in his previous fight in Lucas Almeida, he was like minus 250, and that's the shit that happens sometimes. Like they go up against the dude that is supposed to beat their ass. They both had that in common. Like Onama was still supposed to beat his ass and he didn't. And Timmy was supposed to get his ass beat by Oki and he went to a split. I just think that the money should be on Timmy. I think a smarter version of him could win this one pretty easily, where a lot of people are going to be mad. I do think, honestly, if the odds were a lot higher on Romero, it's like the biggest trap of the card where people are just going to be so confident in fading Timmy, they're just going to parlay him up. So I'm glad the odds are legitimate. But give me Timmy, unfortunately, to win this one by a decision. Again, I think he's clean. I think this could be a fight where both men might be fighting for a regional title. So this is their regional title fight at featherweight, but I just think Timmy's a little bit cleaner, a little bit faster, but a lot more of a pussy. Romero's got balls on him, though, so he can make things very interesting. This could be a very interesting fight to live bet. So give me Timmy. Not a big fan of it, though. Next bout, we've got Jacqueline Amorim versus Polyana Viana. Clearly, Jacqueline's going to win this one. I don't know how. Odds will indicate that it's going to be submission. I'm very confident in her winning this fight. She's minus 360. I think she's ballooned all the way up to like minus 4 or something. Minus 500. Yeah. Why? Polyana has the fucking worst takedown defense. And Jacqueline is a legitimate grappler. I think her hands have gotten better. The death gas that she did against the practice girl in Sam Hughes was, probably what she needed. And now she's capable. I think she's capable of just dominating girls on the mat. And Polyana lost to one of the most green fighters by submission in Yasmin Lucindo. And man, when I'm going back and watching the Jillian Robertson fight, just to be certain, how bad is her takedown defense? Jillian's not even trying. And she's just single legging her and dumping her. And I'm like, that's not good. And Jacqueline, she's not going to be afraid to go for an armbar either early in the round or late in the round, and I suspect she will get that. And if it turns out to be a fight where it just goes all the way to a decision, I do expect the winner to be a unanimous Jacqueline Amorim. I don't care how much Polyana's been training at shoot to box. I don't care how long she's been training her takedown defense. This girl's more interested in just showing her belly button and her asshole than she is at fighting. And Jacqueline, she is at this very point making her run, whether it be for a title or a top 10 status. Give me Jacqueline Amorim. It is what it is. Next bout, Cameron Saiimon versus Malcolm Wellmaker. Minus 135 for Wellmaker, comeback on Saiimon plus 110. As much as I like Saiimon, and it just sucks that he's getting Malcolm at this point. Malcolm is a guy who's been 5 rounds. Malcolm is a guy with devastating knockout power. This dude is legit. He's a big dude. He's the older man, and more importantly, he's the more man. He is 30 years old. He's got his man strength. Saiimon, I think he's very technical. I think he's very good. But at this very moment, like when you look at him fighting these dudes that could legitimately be featherweights, and Christian Rodriguez and Peyton Talbot, they dwarf him in mass and size and just bully him around. I don't think Saiimon has that kind of knockout power. I desperately tried to see if he's been putting on some mass, and he has put on a bit of muscle. The thing is, skill for skill, I think they're pretty close. I think Saiimon throws a variety of different strikes. Wellmaker, my only criticism of him is that maybe he hasn't fought the top highest level of competition, but that's not really his fault. It's just what he does well, and what he does well is throw beautiful shots that actually hurt people. So for that reason, give me Wellmaker either by a TKO or a very clear-cut decision just by damage. I like, again, Saiimon, but man, he's still very young, and being very young in the UFC could be a horrible thing, especially if you're kind of built like a little twink. So hopefully he comes in here a little bit more jacked, because again, I like this kid. I think he has a bright future. He's still very young, but when he fills out to his man body, or he either, I don't know, drops in weight to 125, I think he can do well there, because his little pussy punches might actually have some pop. But at this very moment, a guy like Wellmaker, who, if he hurts him, he's going to take a knee, you know what I mean? Not quit, but he will get dropped. So give me Wellmaker by a decision. I think this is going to be a very fun technical matchup up until Wellmaker starts landing the harder shots. Next bout, Blackshear versus Alatengheili. Blackshear by sub, TKO, whatever he wants. Now, I'm just saying that to kill some, like, not kill time, but he's minus 345. I think he is still around that price tag. Where the fuck are you, brother? Yeah, I don't have the odds on like sub props or whatnot, but yeah, here he is. Like, yeah, minus 330 or so. I think he's just a better wrestler. Defensively wrestling, that is, can be a bit suspicious, a little sussy. The plus 265 on Alatengheili is tempting because he's a very good wrestler. He is very hard to finish. You know, he trains out of Fight Ready. I like the improvements that Blackshear has been making. One in particular against Cody Gibson in a fight that did give me a bit of a scare, but when you really see it in retrospect, never really was an issue. He was going to eventually dominate Cody, which he did, and he submitted him. There was one moment in that fight, you know, he started off slow, and then when he picked up the pace, especially in the second round, when he got Cody down after cutting him, there was one thing that I saw that I'm like, yo, him training with the great Robbie Lawler, it just like hit me like an epiphany. Instead of like dropping elbows in the crucifix position when he had Cody hurt, or not hurt, but in a bad spot, instead of dropping elbows, he was grinding his elbow on the cut. And that, for whatever, just gave me the biggest fucking hard on for him. I'm like, yo, that is some like high level, I fought 30 plus times type of experience from a gritty vet like Robbie. And if that is the kind of shit he's learning from Robbie, I'm expecting a better version of Blackshear coming out of that camp right now in Kill Cliff. I hope God it is Kill Cliff. I don't fucking remember the one in Florida. I like him on here. I think he's getting more dangerous, more competent on the feet. I like him for a parlay. Him and Giacalini. Next bout, Chris Guitierrez versus Castaneda. We've broken this one down before. Now both men have a bit more time to actually acclimate and cut the weight properly. At featherweight, I'm still going to go with Guitierrez. It is a pick'em, allegedly. I think Guitierrez is just going to do what he does best, kick from the outside, point fight. Castaneda relies too heavily on big moments. Chris Guitierrez actually lost in Kansas City against... you just find out here. It wasn't Frankie. It was Pedro Munoz. And that was a fight that I actually thought he could win, and that I thought he did win, or did enough to at least make it close. Judges don't like Chris Guitierrez, so if John does happen to get that big moment which I don't think he will. He relies way too heavily on them. Then at that point, maybe they can swing in the favor of John. I think it's a perfectly, it's perfect odds. It's a pick 'em. But I like Chris Gutierrez's chances better just because of the volume, the hard kicks, and maybe attacking the body of John is going to slow him down. He has been pacing himself more, and he does kind of fight in like a very lackadaisical type of style. He used to be a little bit more aggressive, but as of late, again, he is very reliant on those big moments. Next bout, we've got, I'm very looking forward to this fight. We've got Ahmad Hassanzada versus Evan Elder. Lion of the Ring versus the Phenom. Minus 325. I think it's like ballooned all the way up to minus 400 for Evan Elder, which I thought was hilarious. Minus 415 on Bet Online is the worst line I'm seeing for him. And I've been seeing people say, put Evan on your parlays. Hassanzada's a fraud. I mean, I call him one of two things, and these two things are true. It is Hassan Frauda, because he's a fraud, and Possum Zada, because he plays kind of possum a little bit. And what I mean by that is, for someone to be a fraud, they have to have some bit of, I guess, danger to them, something that makes them special, something that makes them be thought of maybe as a contender. And what this guy does well is he's a very good submission grappler. This guy's not bad. The guy gasses the fuck out horribly, and he does way too much. Like, he will pick up his opponents. Like in his last win, for example, and I've got a lot to say about Hassanzada, but against Manatello, who recently got a win. Like, this guy was getting his ass beat by a Brazilian, I believe LFA, Manatello that is, and he comes back and then knocks him out. And that goes to show you, Manatello kind of is not a great fighter, but he's tough. And for Hassanzada to finish him, very good. But in that fight, and shit, that fight alone could just be like the indicator of all of his fights. He tries to get the sub. He will dominate in the first round. And if he doesn't get the sub, he looks like fucking trash. He will get tired. He'll do spinning back fucking fists. Like, don't waste your gas tank on stupid shit. And I didn't like that. What I did like about it, though, was he was kind of like giving the thumbs up to his corner, Team Alpha Male, every so often. He's making faces. He seems to have a bit of a weird swagger to him, and something about him, I kind of like it. I kind of like that he's, entertaining in that manner. But come that third round, what I did see was, yeah, he got dropped. He has terrible defense. Maybe grappling stats pretty damn high. Punching defense or striking defense is low. But what I saw in that third round against Manatello is that it was almost like dead to rights. He's going to die. But he comes back. He starts being a little bit more technical with his strikes, a bit more aggressive moving forward, and he eventually takes the back, chokes him out. And I'm like, yo, this guy's dangerous. Plus 260 on a dangerous guy is nice. I'm willing to lay a shot on him. I'm not willing to pick him because there are so many holes in his game that I don't know. Even if he's patched them up with that UFC money, this guy's 29. Like, he's clearly got some talent. But clearly there's ways to beat him. You can outdog him. You can hurt him. You can even lay on top of him and not be in a whole ton of, like, danger, even though he has a very good, bottom game. But if you're smart, you can definitely be safe. Even if he's fixed these holes where he's not going buck wild, him doing multiple spinning back fists in the Contender Series in one of his most important fights in the in his career indicates to me that if you put him in a bad spot, he will go back to being fucking stupid. But man, am I not intrigued by that. Evan Elder, just because he nearly beat the guy who actually knocked out Hassanzada in Nazim Sadikov. Everyone's like, he nearly beat him. Now we come to find out that Sadikov is never going to lose. He's just biding his time until he can fucking kill you. Evan Elder, watching him fight lower level competition after that was not a pretty look. This dude is like getting dropped by Gennaro Valdez. This dude is like not necessarily looking all that great against Darius Flowers up until Flowers gassed out, and that was a short notice bout up in elevation. But I think Evan is a great athlete. I think he can be molded into a very good fighter, but I don't fully expect him to look minus 400 off the bat. I think Hassanzada has a good chance to sub him early. I think Hassanzada has a good chance to knock him out early. I think Evan is like the possible trap of this card. But if none of that happens, if he fights a smart fight, which he's looking really clean on the feet, doing his like what do you call that shit? His pad work. He's looking really clean. And if he's smart, which I'm expecting him to be here in Killcliff, I think this dude's definitely gonna edge this out either by a third round knockout or a decision. So I'm going to officially pick TKO in the third round. Did I say Killcliff for? He's an American top team, right? Robbie Lawler. I get those two confused, whatever. But I expect Elder to withstand the bullshit because if he is smart, he just lets Hassanzada do his thing until he tires out. He takes over. Come round number 3, you finish him. But I'm telling you, there's too much danger in Hassanzada. I understand you see his tape from like LFA. This guy is getting beat by losers, but he is still very, very dangerous. So I'm probably going to lay very much this specific bet, like TKO Elder round number 3 or Hassanzada by finish inside the distance or submission. I think those hedges might be very nice, but the plus money is just too hard for me to ignore money wise. But prediction wise, I'm not stupid. I ain't picking them. Next bet, we've got Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. I expect Jimmy Flick this to be his last fight in the UFC, really. Matt Schnell minus 290. It's so hard. The nickname Danger for Matt Schnell is definitely adequate, but it's also adequate for this line, minus nearly 300. It's a dangerous line to play. You got to go with Jimmy, by Schnell, by TKO or sub. I would suggest to Matt Schnell probably make it a TKO just in case. Jimmy Flick, very good submission grappler. He's plus 225. If he beats Schnell, I think it's going to be by a finish. He's not going to outpoint Matt Schnell. If Matt just wants to be on the outside striking with him, he's the much better striker. Very good feints. We know his chin is god awful, and I hate to say it, but if Matt Schnell had a better chin, I think he could be a permanent top 10 fixture. Because you could even say, why is he getting sub so much? It's because he kind of panics because he doesn't want to get knocked out. In this case, do not shoot on Jimmy Flick, and you can win this fight pretty easily, Matt Schnell. Give me Matt inside the distance TKO round number 2. I mean, Matt's got some beautiful boxing. We know his jiu-jitsu is legit. Do not fuck around with Jimmy Flick on the ground. It's just pointless. Should be fun, though. We'll see what happens, but I just don't foresee Jimmy Flick doing anything. Like, if I cannot see Jimmy Flick having a possible win by a decision, I think he can only win by a finish, but I don't think he can knock him out unless it's like a lucky shot, or I don't think he can submit him or take him down unless Matt Schnell, dives in with his head first like he did against Cody Durden. I just don't foresee this being a Jimmy Flick winning performance because on the feet, what is he going to do? Fucking awkwardly look at him and miss punches? Jimmy's going to be countering him and busting him up. Give me Jimmy by TKO. Next bout, Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. I looked at this fight because Ikram's a bit overpriced at this point, minus 625. So what's the best way to pick him? By TKO, more than likely TKO. Either knockout on the feet or on the ground. With Andre, he's plus 450. I wanted to make sure with Andre to make sure he was done because he had a very good early on, run in the UFC submitting dudes. Fucking submitted Jacare. Dude's dangerous off of his back. He's dangerous in general, but he needs to get you to the ground, and he needs to have that dominance over you. And I don't see that against Ikram. I think Ikram's a better striker, very good 1-2, very good jab with power behind it. He's got the better wrestling. He's hard to take down. Andre Muniz has pretty suspicious gas tank. He does have the longer reach. I think Andre's best chance is to try to maybe knock out Ikram. I don't foresee that happening. I think Ikram, he's kind of hard to knock out. All right, he got knocked out by the former champ in Whitaker and the soon-to-be possible losing contender, because Dirkus is going to beat his ass, Khamzat Chimaev. From what I'm seeing is Muniz has been like in the jungles of fucking Brazil training his jiu-jitsu. I've been seeing some really cool pictures of him in like Instagram where he's like with his black belt, and it's awesome, right? So I'm expecting him to try to submit Ikram. I just don't think that's a good idea. I think if Ikram gets on top or he gets pulled down into the guard of Muniz is going to eat some pretty bad shots. I think Ikram does have very nice power. Ikram, I don't think he's a guy you want to really put on a parlay, though. You got to go with doesn't go the distance or inside the distance for Ikram. Give me round number 2. Ikram, I actually think he's going to bust him up on the feet and then finish him up on the ground. Next bout, we've got Rude Boy Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. Rude Boy minus 205, come back on Dalby plus 170. Dalby's on his, like, I don't even know what to call it. Like, his run at 40 years old, this guy is beating dudes that I don't expect him to beat. But when you really look at the record, Claudio Silva, he actually lost part of that fight to Claudio. He could have actually lost that fight in general. But dude's like pushing 40, Claudio is. Warley Alves is a bit of a weird case, but it is what it is. Muslim Salikov pushing 40. Gabriel Bonfim, a little bit too much too soon in a way. And then the Renat. You might look at the Renat fight and say, well, he actually beat Renat. He didn't beat Renat. What I'm seeing in these fights is that Dalby is getting easier and easier to hurt on the feet. And granted, he's never officially been finished. Jesse Ronson, I'm looking at you, you PED piece of shit. Cost me a parlay that day. Because I thought Dalby was going to run right through him, a fucking blown up lightweight. Not the case. Dalby is very durable. He's very good at, like, recovery. But he's getting dropped easier and easier with uglier shots. Randy, for all I can say about Randy that I dislike, and when I fade him, Randy is a clean striker. Randy is hard to hit when he's on his groove. He's a longer guy, taller guy. And I think he's going to be the stronger guy here. Give me Rude Boy Brown to knock out, officially knock out Dalby. I think he's going to land a nice clean shot, an elbow within the first 2 rounds. I think Rude Boy at this point, he is a veteran of the UFC. He's 34 years old. He's got everything he needs to beat Dalby. If he loses to Dalby, that tells me everything I need to know about Randy, that he is just not ready for anything. He's never going to contend. Like, he shouldn't be top 15. If he cannot beat Nicholas Dalby, that's a big problem for Randy Brown. Like, he's got everything he needs. It's like when your mom packs a lunch for you, like, you got everything you need. Just don't piss your pants when you go to fucking elementary school and you come back like, Mom, I pissed my pants. So Randy, don't piss your pants, knock out Dalby, and all will be well, and we can continue talking about, like, you fighting fucking, I don't know, who's a good, like, maybe Prates at this point if he's fucking bored on a Tuesday or something. Moving on, we've got Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. This is a fight I did not do a whole ton of research for because it doesn't matter. Like, we know these two guys and what they can do. Abus, he's been looking good at middleweight at this point. He's plus 135, or plus 130, that is, and he's got a 2-fight winning streak. Within that 2-fight winning streak, there have been glaring issues still that he's been using his wrestling more, which is good, but he's still a guy you can hurt. You can definitely break him, and I don't like the look in his eyes when he has any adversity. Michel Pereira, yeah, he took a pretty bad ass whooping. It was mostly a cardio dump kind of ass whooping where he just kind of blew his wad early, but in that first early wad blow, he did hurt Fluffy Hernandez. He hit him to the body, but Fluffy just took his time and showed that he is an elite fighter at the weight class. I fully expect Michel to get back on track here. I expect a first round finish. I expect him to hurt him to the body. Like, you cannot ignore the willingness of Abus to look at the clock or to just give up. And being that Michel's actually been training at with Sean Strickland, the guy who beat the shit out of Abus in Extreme Couture, I'm pretty sure they know what to do to poor old Abus. So give me Magomedov to win inside the distance. He could submit him. Biggest worry with Michel sometimes is that he will do something really, really stupid, but I think at this point he knows better, and he's going to really, really hurt Abus. I don't think Abus is going to be able to take him down. We know he's very hard to finish, Pereira, that is. So, yeah, I don't foresee Abus really having much for Pereira. I actually think Abus early on is going to look quick, but he will soon be very intimidated by Michel when he's moving and dancing and shit. And then eventually he's going to hit him to the body with that nasty, he's got a nasty little teep push kick. And I think Abus will, like, definitely show that he's hurt. And then Pereira's going to either flying knee him or jump into a guillotine. I'm very intrigued to see what this man looks like live. So give me Michel Pereira by knockout in the first round. Next bout, Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. Onama minus 185, come back on. Chikadze is plus 150. Now, I was going back and forth on this one quite a bit till I ultimately did land on David Onama. If you don't know, David Onama he's training up in Elevation Factory X in Colorado, but this guy is a Kansas City, Missouri native. Well, not native, he's a Ugandan native, but he, grew up in Kansas City. That's his people. He's going to be billed out of Kansas City. So automatically, I got to admit it, man, the Kansas City commission can be a little suspicious. So I would assume automatically that the reason why he's a big favorite, or slightly 2-1 favorite, minus 185 for Onama, is that there's going to be some chicanery afoot with the scoring. Giga Chikadze, plus 150. Now, this is some old bullshit. This is at featherweight. Last time I checked, it said it was at lightweight. So now that kind of does change things, where it makes me feel even more comfortable picking Onama. The thing about Giga is that Giga is a very good striker. Giga is a very good fighter. He's definitely gotten better at King's MMA. But what I saw in his last few fights, man, he's just not the same dude. After that ass whooping he took from Calvin Kattar, he's just not quite looked the same kind of confident guy. Like, him getting pushed backwards by Arnold Allen was a big eye-opener for me, where Onama, I think if he moves forward and then pressures Giga, he can have a lot of success, even if he's not having success visually in the traditional sense where it's damage. I think this is when they'll pull out the fucking reverse Uno card, where it's we were looking at control time the whole time, 30-27 Onama kind of thing. Yes, I understand Onama getting dropped by Romero is not a good look, but what I did like about that fight is everything after that. He took the hit, he kept moving forward, his gas tank looked very good, but that was at 155 as well. I was kind of thinking a little bit closer if Giga moved up, because he's a big featherweight. Maybe that will be a resurgence for him, but I guess, I got lied to by Tapology. At featherweight, if he is going to cut all that weight, I don't think it's a massive cut, but I do show the signs of slowing down, where he's eating a little bit more punches. His punching power is not quite there. The Giga kick is definitely there to, take advantage of, and the low kicks of Giga are going to be there. Onama doesn't really check them, but I'm sure they're definitely working on that for this specific fight now that they have a very dangerous kicker. Onama, as we know, punching power. Giga has very good chin. He's very durable. Onama by decision, I think, is going to be what I'm going to lean on. I do think the odds are kind of blown out of proportion. I think it should be a lot closer. At the very least, you got to give the younger guy the benefit of the doubt. So minus 130 for Onama. I like that, with Giga kind of showing those signs of age. But again, this is the hardest fight Onama's gotten. This is a top 15 guy, and Onama's not necessarily quite looked top 15, and he has been more or less put on, for example, the fight with Nate Landwehr, a fight that he essentially knocked him out and then resurrected him because he's got the gift of God in that left hand and right hand. It kind of showed me what kind of fighters are going to give Onama a lot of problems. This guy's super athletic. Wrestlers, he's probably going to have a tough time physically, but winning the fight, I don't think he'll have trouble with. Pretty fighters like this, kicking from the outside, I think David is a little bit more grittier than those kind of guys. He may not be as technical as a Giga, but he I believe, is going to do a lot better with his power moving forward. The guys that give Onama fits are guys like the guys that beat him. We got Mason Jones, who'll be fighting the next week after this in Des Moines, which I'll be there as well. Moves forward, gritty guy, fucking nuts and bolts kind of dudes, blood and guts, Nate Landwehr, same thing. Maybe not the greatest chin, but blood and guts kind of guy, moves forward. Fucking Romero, similar kind of style. So a guy like Giga, very pretty on the outside, maybe throwing a lot of kicks. I think the punching power of Onama, them having the same reach, is going to dictate the judges to give it to Onama, plus the home field advantage and whatnot. Call me crazy. If you want to take Giga, go ahead. I don't disagree that Giga's live here, especially at these dog odds. It's just, man, I just suspect highly that Giga is definitely starting to show the wear and tear, definitely starting to show like a step behind. While Onama in that fight with Romero, he looked very good. This guy's like looking slick on the feet. He's just mixing everything up, and that cardio was what really surprised me here. So I expect David to get a great reception from the crowd and a great reception from the judges. Next bout, we've got Anthony Smith by versus Mingyang Zhang, the Mountain Tiger, minus 530 for the Mountain Tiger. Come back on Anthony Smith plus 380. I'm a big Tiger fan, as you may know. I'm not a big Lion guy. Not much I'm going to say about Anthony Smith that you don't already know, right? Like, he will cover up. And he's definitely the best fighter Zhang has ever fought, name-wise, skill-wise, record-wise, etc. He's a former title challenger. And Zhang, the negatives of Zhang, and I'm going to get him out of the way. He has been finished before. He's a bit of a bum beater. He hasn't beat anybody quite yet, and he's not won a fight outside of the first round. Now, when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, yo, I want to go really big on Zhang. I really do. What is the way he can fuck me here? And I should preface by saying he's training at Extreme Couture. But I'm looking at his fights, and yeah, he's not won a fight outside the first round. But when I'm looking at it a bit closer, is that really his fault that he's knocking dudes out and they can't take his power? I don't think that's his fault. I don't suspect him to get gassed out. He doesn't look gassed. He does eat a little too many punches, but what I like about this kid is that he throws hard low kicks, something that Anthony Smith does well. He's got huge calves. This guy's he's a big boy. And inside the pocket, he is absolutely devastating and accurate. And on top of that, if Zhang starts showing me that he can go for his own takedowns and mix in ground and pound, I think this kid can really go far in this division. We just need to see him get a little bit tested slower. But his ground and pound is disgustingly vicious, man. When he hurt Tuco Tokos, he knocked him out cold. And then you can consider this ground and pound, but his slumped over body was still kind of up. He's landing accurately on his chin and causing brain damage, and like he forgets how to eat broccoli and he forgets how to sip through a straw. You can just see that shit leaving his brain. This guy is disgusting, and in the pocket, this guy is comfortable. He doesn't necessarily move his head too well, but he's so defensively sound. With the Romero fight, like he was having trouble with the reach, and then the moment he had that ability to like counter, and God willing, he did it with a poked eye. Like, he gets poked in the eye, he calls for time, they don't give it to him. He's like, fuck it, I guess I got to knock him out. And he knocks him out. Like, this kid is just ungodly when it comes to that power. But that risk of him being a possible fraud is definitely there. I don't think so, though. I don't think it's going to be one of those where Anthony Smith has his final hurrah. Anthony Smith is retiring after this fight, and you can think he wants one final win and one final, like, I did it, I lion-hearted my way out of here. But when I'm seeing this guy talking to himself, I see this guy struggling, I see this guy not fighting, I see him allowing himself to get hit in the face by Dominic Reyes. This guy's going to get hit by Zhang, maybe get not knocked out, but he's going to think about his kids and his family and his brain cells, and I think he's going to say, you know what, this fucking shit ain't worth it anymore. Why even try to take all this damage? I expect Zhang to actually first get his first win outside the first round. Whether he knocks out Smith cold, I'm not guaranteeing that. I do expect Smith to actually hit the canvas and Zhang to be called the winner by TKO, whether it be in the first or second round. I think Zhang is definitely learning to move his head. And I think if Zhang fights smart, he knows he can knock him out. Just let the knockout come to him. And on top of that, if you're thinking Smith's going to take him down, Smith ain't going to take him down. Zhang doesn't have terrible takedown defense, and I saw him get kind of taken down once against the cage, and he popped right back up, and he's not completely like out of depth on the ground. So give me Zhang by knockout. I'm going to put him on a parlay with Amorim, Blackshear, and Zhang. I actually got to go to the casino tonight before I forget. And yeah, I think this is going to be Anthony Smith's like, I don't got it no more. Thanks, everybody. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, moving on. Main event. Ian Machado Garry minus 125 comeback on Prates is plus 100. The Fighting Nerd's hot as fuck right now. Cannot deny that. And there's been some talks from Garry of like, well, I seen Prates quit in a fight and we're going to make him quit, blah, blah, blah. And what I find funny about that is that like Gary's never been put in a spot to quit because he doesn't really fight the way that Prates puts himself in the fire. Gary's more of a pretty technical striker. And, you know, I've seen him get tested and he's come out of that fine. But with Garry, I've just not been impressed by his style. But I cannot deny that he's not an elite fighter. He's, you know, he's number 6 in the world. What I've noticed about Garry in his recent performances, and maybe I could be wrong because what I'm going to say about his fight with Page, but what I've noticed is when guys are a threat to him, either with power or with reach or with size, he just doesn't do as well. Like he needs to kind of have that domain over his opponents, or he's the stronger fighter or the slicker fighter or the better striker. And in this case, I don't think he's got the striking advantage over Prates. He actually has a reach disadvantage by 3.5 inches. He doesn't have the experience advantage over him. I don't think he's going to have the grappling advantage over Prates. I've seen Prates fight and get taken down by an undefeated Russian, and this dude's like swinging for arm bars. Like, I just think Prates, despite his record, is just so complete and dangerous. And I think he can knock out Garry, or at the very least land cleanly on him based off of him having the longer reach and just that experience with striking with the Muay Thai. What I will give Garry is that he is the faster of the two, and Prates can be very fucking slow, but he's super dangerous. So there's a good chance Garry can catch the chin of Prates. But given the game planning that we've been seeing from the Fighting Nerds, I cannot doubt them. I cannot doubt that Carlos is not going to find a way to like tag him up and just be safe and maybe wait for Garry to come to him, because Garry does like to counter strike himself. We've seen Garry get put on his ass and nearly finished on a couple of occasions. The fight with Page. Now, Page does have a funky, you know, point fighting karate style, which is vastly different from Prates. But I still think that the reach and height definitely gave Garry a lot of issues. Whether it was the funky style or not, he was getting hit cleanly. And I think it stems from the fact that these longer arms, he's just not quite as good as when he's fighting shorter dudes. So I am going to go with Prates. I am going to predict him to get the knockout, because when you see this guy hit dudes, they don't like it. They go out cold. The way he hit that child abuser, oh God, it's fucked up. Neil Magny. Fuck Garry for that, by the way. The way he hit Magny in the top of the head, and I know I've seen Magny get put out before, but like, he's a nightmare for a reason. Now, if you want to talk about the fight where he got his ass beat, Prates at his, and he quit, well, he was young at the time. The dude was like in his early 20s, man. And he's fighting this marauder Russian-looking dude, and he's just literally, when you look up his fight and the reasoning for him losing, it says retreating from hooks. And what I'm saying is this dude was just throwing fucking hook after hook, and like Prates just couldn't do anything. Like, I think he was just a little rattled being young at the time. This was back in like 2017. He was early 20s. And then I think he got hit in the eye, and he's just like, I can't continue anymore. Like, fuck that. Like, just is what it is, man. Like, fucking Charles Oliveira used to do the same shit, but we only see that once from Prates. I think Prates is the more complete guy, and I think he's the more dangerous guy. It's just that if Garry hits him in the chin with a speedy fucking left counter or right hand, it could be dangerous. But what is really Garry going to do? I'm intrigued to see. I'm intrigued to see what the game plan is, but as of late, it's mostly been kind of point fighting from the outside and maybe grappling a little bit. And I think Carlos is just too clean. Gary's takedowns aren't the best. Like, the way he shot for dear life against MVP, to me, was a bad sign. And arguably, fuck it, no, I would have given that fight to MVP. I thought he did more damage on the feet, and Garry did nothing other than hold his back. I think Prates has him covered in every way. I think the plus money is definitely worth it. I see the absolute danger in Garry, because this guy is still very young himself, 27, and he can definitely show signs of improvement. But I am 100% on the Carlos Prates side. for those reasons. I think he's just going to be the more dangerous of the two, and I just expect something special from these guys. But I'm not here to say that this is going to be an easy cakewalk. I think Prates could be the first guy to lose for the Fighting Nerds. But if he does win this fight, dear God, there's a good chance that all of the nerds could potentially be wearing UFC gold, because I think he can do some horrible things to Bilal. I think that John Silva could do some god-awful things to Volkanovski. I'm just highly intrigued by this main event, which I think is way better than the Roundtree versus Jamal Hill. I got the tickets before this fight got announced, and it's almost like God kissed me on the cheek and said, like, this is your birthday present, enjoy, because like it's going to be a great main event. I just foresee Prates showing the world that despite, you know, his record and like the flashy knockouts, because typically with that, he's knocking dudes out, but he's knocking dudes out he should be knocking out. Garry went toe-to-toe with the number one contender in Shavkat and nearly finished them. But given that, I do expect Prates to kind of show the world that, like, despite the fact that I might be a meme knocking out machine, I'm a highly skilled guy, and we just haven't really seen it in the UFC quite yet. And you can say, well, you saw how slow he was against that dude, Officer Giles. Yeah. And then what did he do to him? He knocked him out. He never got knocked. He didn't get dropped. He didn't get hurt. It's just maybe it just took him a while to get started. And then after he got his feet wet in the UFC, he fucking destroys the body of Charlie Radke. And yeah, it's going to be a great fight. So yeah, give me Carlos Prates to win this one by TKO in the third round. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think are the best bets here. Do you think my parlay is going to cash? If you think it's going to die, which of the three is going to kill me here? But yeah, Johnny TigerBomb, leave a comment. I will catch you next week.